All right, Dick Myers. Dog number 5 for y'all. Brown dog number 3. Wanted to talk about Leah, where we are, what's going on with her plans, and all that. Haven't given you an update on Leah in a while. Of course, we had um, her heat cycle to deal with in April. And then what I did after she finished her heat cycle is we were doing all that bird work with Venus and Belle, and neither one of them wound up being ready in time. And now Belle's gone into heat, so that's all just great. So it's been just one giant heat mess after another. But we did some of the some bird work with Leah because she is like, I mean, obsessive about wanting to hunt. I mean, this dog will sell you 3 of her legs to get to go hunt. And I mean, when I mean hunt, I mean go upland hunt, like go look for a bird in the grass. She freaking loves it. And when I saw her point and point hard, I worked with her for a week or two, seeing if I could get her where we could sneak her into the APLA test and try to get her through. But what happened is, and I didn't explain all of this as it was going on because it was kind of just unfolding, and I didn't want to get your hopes up because I didn't know if we could do it. Um, but what happened is I found out Leah was doing great with finding the birds and everything. That's fine. But when it went time to retrieving the birds, she was hard mouthed. She was too hard on the birds. Now I was using flimsy little pigeons, which are it doesn't take much to chomp a pigeon. Um, but she did it fairly regularly. I only let her do it a couple 3 times after I shot him, and she chomped, and I was like, well, we can't let that go on. So that is an issue we must resolve before we go forward. Fixing the chomp is actually quite easy to do, but it's just something we hadn't addressed. And the thing is, not a lot of dogs do it. Some do, some don't. A lot of time, it's just excitement. They're just so pumped up and so excited about having a bird in their mouth. And especially if it's, not all the way dead and it's kind of lively. A lot of times, they'll bite down too hard. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to let that become a habit because every single hunt test will require the dog to deliver to hand or deliver the bird undamaged. So if the dog tears the skin, you're out. So we want to make sure that that doesn't continue to fester and grow. So wanted to show you how we're doing that. So what we're doing is we're going back to the old familiar force fetch room. We're back here in the shop. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some e-collar fetch. So I didn't do this step with Leah before. We kind of ran into heat and ran out of time and everything else. So um, she had not seen this part of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to e-collar condition the fetch. Leah is very thoroughly e-collar conditioned. She is super obedient. And you can see right here how, she's leaning into me. She's, such an even keel dog. She's mature. She's an adult. I mean, comparing her to, your other dogs isn't really fair because she's an adult. She's mature. So she's definitely, more in control. So that's good and bad. The good is the dog is more in control and more focused, and we can spend more time working with them. The bad news is when they're older, it takes more reps for a dog to learn. Just like with a young person, um, they say, if you're going to teach somebody a foreign language, you should do it when they're young because you learn that stuff a lot faster when you're a kid than when you're an adult. Um, so anyway, the point is we're kind of going back to what we know in order to build on it so we can address the one particular issue, which is don't bite down on the bird. Um, and so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the stick. And so what I'm doing here is I have her e-collar on, and she is on a 2. Like most dogs I work with are on a 2. unless you're the Tasmanian devil and you got to go up higher. They respond generally at a 2. So what we're doing here is we're conditioning fetch with the e-collar. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to take the stick and put it in front of her, and she knows to fetch. She knows what fetch means. We have done the ear pinch fetch with her, so I showed you that in a previous video. Going through ear pinch, she is solid on ear pinch. So this is after that. So after the dog understands the word fetch means pick up the stick, now we condition fetch to the e-collar. And the point of that is we want to be able to control the fetch without having to stand on top of her. Because more than likely, the times that I fixed hard mouth conditions before, a dog will be very good right here beside you, but like when they're out here, they're out in front and they're by themselves, they may want to bite too hard. So having the dog understand that fetch means fetch wherever I say it, whenever I say it, is a critical part of fixing this one particular little blip. So we're going to come right here in front of her. Fetch. Good girl. Good. We'll walk around a little bit. Good girl, Leah. Good. Here. Heel. Sit. Good dog. Give. And Leah has a wonderful hold. She has a terrific delivery. That's never been a problem. She's always been excellent at holding. So that one was right in front of her. Let's go to the ground now. Right here. Right here, babe. Fetch. Good girl. Good. And again, you notice no ear pressure. And by the way, every time I'm saying the F word, here, heel, 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 sit, good. Give, I'm applying the e-collar stem. And it's a low stem. You notice she doesn't even blink. She doesn't flinch. She certainly doesn't yelp. We don't need to apply high pressure unless she gives me resistance. Lately, it's been pretty good. So we did fine with it in front of her, fine with it on the ground. Now let's set it out in front of her and we'll walk to it. So this is called walking fetch. Come on, Leah. Come on, right here. Right here. Fetch. Good girl. Good. Here. Heel. Sit. Good dog. Give. Good girl. Good. Here. All right, let's do one more. Right here. All right, Leah. Fetch. Good girl. Here. Heel. Nope, right here. Heel. Sit, give. So you can see what we're doing is we're completely breaking down the fetch process into very incremental steps. So what we're going to do moving forward is we'll go through and we'll do e-collar fetch now with a progression of objects. So we did the force fetch stick, which is not really very exciting to the dogs. Then we'll use a regular bumper, and then we'll use a couple different rubber dockins. Then we'll go to a frozen bird. Then we'll use a fresh bird. That is the cure for how we address the issue of wanting to be too hard on the bird, is that we teach her incremental steps. Fetch this, now fetch this, and we'll get it knocked out. So Leah is doing just fine. There's things that she does that are really, really, really good. And so this is just one of the little things that we need to address right now. Hmm? Yes, you're a good girl. Give me kisses. You are such a sweetheart. So Leah is a wonderful dog. She's doing awesome. But we'll get this little part knocked out, and then we'll get her outside doing marks. Get ready for some hunt tests.